자, 오늘 토크아이티와 인젠트 함께 저희가 오늘을 좀 특별한 웨비나를 준비했습니다. 기술 얘기만 하는 것이 아니라 우리가 오픈소스 커뮤니티에 대해서 많이들 들었지 않습니까? 많이 들었는데 특히 이제 포스트그레스QL 유명하지고 우리는 많이 쓰고 있는데 그 오픈소스 커뮤니티라는 건 도대체 어떻게 운영을 되지? 거기서 글로벌 컨트리뷰터는 도대체 무슨 역할을 하는 거지? 우리가 실제로 그런 역할을 하는 사람이 많지 않기 때문에 한국인 중에서 실제로 오늘은 이 포스트그레스QL 커뮤니티에서 오랫동안 글로벌 컨트리뷰터로 계속해서 좀 일을 하고 계시면서 또 인젠트에 최근에 조인하신 우마르 팀장님, 또 인젠트의 남재욱 부사장님, 오늘 두 분 게스트를 모시고 오늘 여러 가지 이런 옵스 커뮤니티에 대한 얘기도 하고요. 그 다음에 포스트그레스QL이 실제로 이제 AI 시대 때 어떠한 변화, 또 어떠한 대응, 새로운 변화가 어떤 게 있는 건지 이런 얘기 오늘 나누겠습니다. 그래서 오늘은 이 두 분과 제가 미리 토크한 것들을 3개 세션으로 나눠가지고 오늘 여러분한테 송출할 것이고요. Q&A는 라이브로 여러분들이 우마르 팀장님이 외국인이시지만 저희가 오늘 AI가 준비되어 있기 때문에 여러분들이 편하게 대신 질문창에 한글만 쓰시지 말고 한글이랑 한글 쓸 때 챗GPT 같은 걸로 해가지고 영어로 번역한 것도 같이 이렇게 질문을 같이 해주시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 알겠죠? 네. 자, 그러면 오늘 두 분 게스트 오늘 소개시켜드리겠습니다. 자, 우마르 팀장님 인사 좀 하실까요? 먼저.
Hello everyone, my name is Umar Hayat and I work for Engine as a product owner for the database products. So yeah, nice for having me here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Speak loudly. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. 네, 부사장님. 네.
네, 안녕하세요. 인젠트의 남재욱 부사장입니다. 만나서 반갑습니다.
네. 자, 그러면 여러분들 우리 실제로 제가 그 우마르 팀장님이 이 오픈소스 포스트그레스QL 커뮤니티에서 쭉 제 글로벌 컨트리뷰터 기여하시면서 뭐 느꼈던 여러 가지 느꼈던 관점이랑 또 제가 또 궁금한 이런 것들을 오픈소스 커뮤니티에 대해서 우리가 그냥 실제 내부가 어떻게 운영되고 있고 어떻게 하는지 잘 모르지 않습니까? 그런 좀 구체적인 얘기들을 한번 들어보겠습니다. 우마르 팀장님, 그 오픈소스 커뮤니티가 엄청 많은데 왜 하필 그 많은 오픈소스 커뮤니티 중에서 포스트그레스QL의 커뮤니티 쪽에 조인해가지고 거기서 이제 어떻게 보면 컨트리뷰터가 된 계기가 뭐예요?
If you see in PostgreSQL timeline, I'm still new. Still almost 15 years still new.
Oh, you still new? Wow.
So because it's like a quite old and stable project from started in 90s. So I started in like 2016 or 14. Before starting or engaging anything with PostgreSQL community, I was doing some open source project but not PostgreSQL. So I was using different open source project for the knowledge sharing, different even the map making, the Google map making, and some other translation project for transcripts for the like TEDx, because you have to translate, somebody have to do it, your own language, so that everybody can benefit from these projects. So I started like those involving in those projects just naturally. I don't know why I started it, but that's how I started. I started engaging with these projects and different communities 2010 or something, 2011, 10. In PostgreSQL, I started actually in 2016 when I joined the first PostgreSQL company. There was a whole environment of having a PG company and PG developers and every kind of people and most. So I started engaging with those PostgreSQL. Being an open source contributor is a kind of self-motivated way. And being in a PostgreSQL open source community is like a push from the community,
I see.
Looking at everybody is engaging, why not I should be, and even the companies are encouraging it. I would say is like there are multiple open source community. I guess it's more open as compared to the other community. If you see some other community, they are either like maybe one vendor is not controlling it or maybe dictating it. There are some open source community where it's not diverse that much and they're very, maybe it's difficult, that's why or whatever the reason, it's very famous, but still it has limited developers.
Then you can feel it, right? You can smell it, right?
So the open source like PostgreSQL is quite diverse, right now quite famous. If you see trajectory of PostgreSQL from last 15 years, it's continuous growth.
I see. see.
It's still, getting more and more into industry, and everybody want to use it. So because of that diversity, it created that environment, everybody start to engage in community, and that openness is like in the governance too. Like the committee who make, like the core contributor, even there are some legal issues or something, not a single company have a majority in that committee. Not a single company, one company cannot make or dictate PostgreSQL decision.
I see.
5-6 years ago, there was a situation that one company got a majority in that team after the acquisition of another company. They said, okay, we will remove. This is an unsaid rule. It's not written anywhere that, nobody can have. It's a just natural thing that nobody should have the majority. If, somebody have to make a decision committee, so they removed their own people from the, and added more people, from the major contributor. Why not, other company should. So if there is the time somebody have to make a decision, a council or a committee, governance body, so nobody should have the majority. It's quite open. And the other thing is, there is a license. It's quite permissive. There is no restriction of copyrights, or you cannot do it, and you have to make it open, or make it restricted. It's quite very lenient license or permissive license. So and the committee member ensure it keep that way.
In open-source, they used to change the new version very quickly. That means you have to decide whether this direction in every time. What is the decision-making structure in open-source community?
I mean, especially if you see, and most of the time it is true for most of the big open source communities which are here, which are very famous, and for last few decades, there is a kind of fixed kind of structure. Like one thing is, for a closed source community or a company's product, there is a fixed roadmap which company decide. But this is it's not of one product which has a fixed roadmap. So there's a mailing list, and it's a continuous engagement and discussion, where should we go, where should we go. Everybody provide, and everybody is welcome to provide their own opinion.
Discussion happen in mailing list
In
or
the mailing
in
list.
community board?
It's just a mailing list.
Mailing list,
Yeah,
I
it's
see.
a mailing list. Everything is on the mailing list.
I see.
In the mailing list, you can mention, this is just a discussion, this is just a proposal,
I see.
this is a bug, you can tell in the title. So in PostgreSQL, there is a, different wikis to help, how to engage, how to, if you want to send an idea, how to write that proposal. And then discussion started, and everybody provide their input, logical reasoning should happen, and then okay, we should do it. And also who should do it. If you are willing, this is a good idea, send a patch. You cannot send a patch, just send a design. Somebody else would chip in that, okay, I'm also interested to implement, so he can start, okay, I'm going to. And depending on the feature, few feature take few months, few days, and few of the feature they take few years. They span multiple releases, incremental. The community decide that this is too big feature, and how much is the risk. If we put the whole feature at once, it may, everybody have a limited knowledge, and although there are 100,000 of tests after the feature and before the feature, but who knows, in a specific scenario, a company is using the database and it start breaking. So they discuss that it's a high risk, we should do it incrementally. Or maybe it's possible that community worked on some idea for a few years, and at the end there's a dead end. It's possible that in that kind of scenario, community is not that we spent 5 years, now we have to. It's not like that. If they find a dead end, like technical limitation that it cannot proceed, then of course they will stop the project. And maybe there are some scenarios, after few years, the same concept, somebody rewrote it in a new way.
I see.
And then accepted. It's possible.
I see,
The idea is not bad, but everybody agreed and spent 5 years. But
see.
there was a limitation that
timing is very important.
timing is very important.
If the feature direction A and B is conflict, then who decide that?
Mostly it's not like one direction, there are actually multiple directions working in parallel. If somebody say, I want to go into that direction, then he have to work more on that. He have to provide it. If he has the time, nobody would object as why you are working on. If it is aligned with the goal.
Okay,
And nobody would stop you, don't work. So if you are proposing something and you can find traction from other people,
I
you
see.
can make a group. Okay, let's do it. Nobody is going to stop it.
It's very totally different from company.
It's totally different.
It's a very natural way.
It's a natural way.
Echo.
Natural
It's
way.
in an echo way, right?
Yeah, that's true. The only thing would be in the final reviews, there would be multiple patches and reviews, maybe 30, 40, 60 patches,
I see.
But before the committing in the core, merging it, the question would be normally that whether should be committed in this release or the next release, and assessing the risk. So the people who worked in the community as a coder or contributor for last 20, 30, 40 years, they can say that this is the risk, we should do it or not, or maybe make it smaller. We can commit this release only this portion because we can only review the final review only this portion. And that's not like a bias, it's like everybody can comment and they say, okay, your opinion is wrong because we can solve it like this one, and even nobody mind it, okay, nobody get offended that why I'm saying it. Of course somebody provide, it's possible because everybody have a different way of communication. Maybe some are too harsh critic, and that is good for community sometimes. Somebody have to provide very critical point, maybe nobody want to say it, but some people have to say it clearly that this is totally wrong, don't do it. And if somebody are like encouraging, okay, it's fine, okay, can you modify it a little bit. So there are every kind diversity not in a culture, but people mood. There are all kind of people, and they provide very critical that logical reasoning, it should be like this or should not be like this. So if you implemented it, nobody is saying if it is good, low risk, why not, just add it, that's the project direction. You can decide, everybody can decide project direction.
I felt that diversity in open source community is very important to be evolved. 우마 팀장님, 제가 이제 글로벌 컨트리뷰터라고 들었는데 오픈소스 커뮤니티 보면 컨트리뷰터도 있고 커미터도 있고 리뷰어도 있고 도대체 역할이 어떻게 다른 건지 좀 쉽게 설명해 주신다면.
Let me start with the very subset, which is very limited set. The first one is like the committer, and they are very few, like you can name them, like 10, 15 who have the right access to the repository. There is a code repository, somebody should have the permission to put the code inside the repository.
So he's the final approver.
So
he's the boss?
Not the boss. Well, that's a role, of course, you earn after a lot of years. And he's very responsible person. And
right.
Before committing, he have to do a lot of checks because later somebody asks him why you committed it. And this is a very subset, very limited person. And of course, somebody have to make them responsible that, and if there are too many people, then it would be difficult to, who committed it, why, coordination is very difficult. A little bigger group would be, you can call the reviewer, and also the people who code, the hackers, who write the code. So reviewer is like a quality gate. Somebody send a feature request and provide a implementation as a source code, and somebody have to see whether it is working or not. A developer say that it is working, but somebody have to review it. It is actually working, it would be useful, and there would be some discussion about it, why, how it is working, whether it is needed or not. So those are the reviewers. And the lot bigger group is the contributors. The contributors are not only the code writer, they can write the code, but they can do other things too, just reviewing, not writing any code at all. Having involved themselves in different discussing the direction of the project, the well-being of the whole ecosystem. So they are like responsible, if you see as a ecosystem of PostgreSQL, so they are the structure, so they make sure that everything went smooth and everything is working properly. How most of the time there is for PostgreSQL there are multiple mailing lists. Okay, so you join the mailing list and then you send and receive the email in your inbox. So that's like the difference between the committer, the reviewers, or the contributors. So there are different kind of mailing lists. There is a mailing list with the PG general, then PG hackers. Anything related to code is a hackers. But if you have in general question, usage question, some other, you just send it to general question. Then of course there are other groups too, like very limited group like security. If somebody find a vulnerability, it should not be exposed. So there are very few people should be in that email.
I see.
So how do you define yourself? Like how do you represent yourself?
Mostly I'm a contributor. I'm also a PG hacker. Okay, of course I do the reviewer. Of course I'm not the committer. I mean, to earn that privilege, you need to have spent a lot of years. Not like just 10 years is not enough, 10, 15. It need to be 20 years or 30 years. And it need more time to spend, the people who have more time, dedicated time, they can spend. And it's a bigger responsibility. And you need to earn it, after a few decades, not a few years. Yeah.
네, 여러분 잘 보셨죠? 그렇게 이렇게 리스닝하는데도 그렇게 어렵진 않지 않습니까? 저도 사실 저 우마르 팀장하고 이게 사전 녹화할 때 굉장히 걱정했거든요. 저도 네이티브 스피커가 아니기 때문에 어떡하지 했는데 생각보다는 그래도 저도 그냥 말할 때도 콩글리시로 했는데 생각보다 그래도 좀 잘 들리더라고요. 그래서 토크 잘 나눴습니다. 여러분들 질문요, 여러분들 그냥 오늘 한글로 그냥 질문하세요. 평소처럼. 이걸 또 챗GPT로 하고 하는 것도 익숙치 않을 수 있으니까 제가 여기 챗GPT 띄워놓고 제가 이거 번역기 돌렸으니까 여러분들 편하게 그냥 한글로 궁금한 거 있으면 질문하시면 되겠습니다. 알겠죠? 자, 이제 Q&A 시간. 여러분 제 여기 화면 보이시죠? 보면 제가 다 번역을 했어요. 조소영님께서 질문 주셨는데 실무에서 커넥션 풀링, PG 바운서 사용이 필수에 가까운데 코어 DB 관점에서 어떤 개선이 더 필요하다고 보시는지요? 대규모 트래픽 환경에서 베큐엄이나 오토 베큐엄 투잉 전력이 최근 버전에서 어떻게 달라졌다고 보시는지요? Umar, you can see the question.
Yeah,
right?
of course,
okay.
I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, the main question is in practice connection pooling is pretty essential. Of course, I mean, probably if you say this is about the performance, and performance mostly used for the high availability when you have multiple server and you want to distribute the traffic into multiple server to receive that much load, because even a single server cannot load that much traffic. So of course PG bouncer like PG bouncer or PG pool or other pooling and along with the caching or load balancing, all of them are essential tools for PostgreSQL, no doubt about that. From start, these tools are outside of PostgreSQL. So they are not much effort that we will bring the same functionality of these pooling inside the PostgreSQL. So it would always be outside these different tools, PG bouncer, PG pool or other tools. So the main thing, the further improvement would be that improving the performance of PostgreSQL itself, not that bringing those PG bouncer features inside or PG pool feature inside the PostgreSQL. So it's like a more the middleware, it will always be there. Even if we bring some feature from the middle layer to the database itself, still there would be a new middle layer.
Yeah.
People still want to
It
improve.
will be coming.
It
right?
will be coming. It depends on different environment. Like not in every environment you can use PG pool. Not in every environment you can use PG bouncer, or some other maybe CNPG, cloud native PG for the high availability. So every environment need different kind of solution, and some of them are even outside of that PostgreSQL sphere. Like if you are using some cloud load balancer, NLB, your network load balancer or some AWS load balancer, like L4 switch. So all of these are outside the PostgreSQL domain. So even if we bring those feature, high availability feature inside PostgreSQL, there would still be room for new feature for different environment. So the main goal for the core is to improve the database itself, improve how fast it can compute something or get the record from the storage and provide to the PG bouncer. Secondly, it's mentioned about the vacuum and auto vacuum. I mean, personally, I think auto vacuum is getting better and better. For incremental, concurrencies. More features are being added in the recent release. Even other than this, even community is also developing different extension. Like there is a PG squeeze as well that you can use to, kind of similar to vacuuming, removing the dead tuple and improving the storage for the next queries. When you run the next query, it will be faster. So of course that kind of thing, those feature which are right now in the extensions can be moved into PostgreSQL core engine itself.
I see.
And of course, the main thing is who would do it. Either those people who are working on those extensions should contribute it, and of course Postgres community is quite in reserved in that way, that the feature should be suitable for most of the people, not a specific use case. So if somebody can design similar thing and it can be imported in the core engine, then everybody they would be welcome. So yeah, of course different people work, they provide different kind of patches, their own work, there are different proposal, all the time discuss about this. So yeah, it can be improved. So there are so many ways we can improve performance and high availability.
오케이. 자, 또 두 번째 질문요. 조성희님께서 장애 발생 시 PostgreSQL 내부적으로 가장 먼저 확인해야 하는 지표나 로그 우선순위는 무엇일까요?
Now, if you relate with the previous question, if some incidents occurred, right now maybe I'm not understanding the Korean well. What incidents? Whether it's a security instance or general crash incident,
I
some
see.
performance issue. What is the incidence? Okay, what happened? Of course, first somebody need to ask, what happened and where we need. Maybe some performance, issue happened. That why the query is slow, or maybe the query is stuck. Then you have to check the the stats. Is somebody is holding a lock to a specific resource and everybody else is waiting, and one query is taking too much time, and there is no limit. There is no resource management. Checks are policies in place. There is no timeout in place for the queries, and one query is still holding the the resources, and there's a performance issue. Secondly, maybe there's some crash issue, then it need to be investigated. There are different kind of issues, need different kind of diagnostic.
Okay.
Someone, you just need to, there are different administrative views. You can run a query, check the logs, check the IO. Maybe if there is a performance issue, long-term performance issue, you can check the how is the cache hit and cache miss. If it is slow, then maybe your traffic is generated like that, that every time it have to bring from a storage. It cannot use anything from the cache. So there is a lot of IO involved in here. So that's now performance issue. So it depends on every different kind of issues how to investigate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. 또 여현동님께서요. PostgreSQL에서 쿼리 플래너 엣지 케이스를 컨트리뷰터가 어떻게 재현 분석하고 업스트림의 반영까지 연결하는지요. First of all, Umar, what is query planner edge case?
Like for example, edge case is like in normal circumstances, you do not see that kind of case. Okay, maybe somebody see a failure or query is slow in production environment. In the local system environment, you cannot reproduce it. Okay, and it's not well known issue, but in some cases it can be very painful. Okay, so those are like kind of edge cases, they are not the mainstream cases, but the edge cases is like a separate case. Now of course, once somebody publishes, they say that we have this problem. So there are multiple ways. One is simple, using the SQL you have explain, there are multiple query, explain, analyze with a different cost, and then you can also if you want, if the developer need, first we just look at the query plan. What's wrong with the plan? Why it is not planning it properly? Okay, whether indexes are missing, some it is taking more time to fetch a specific table. If we want to further analyze it, we can suggest there are different built-in extension like auto explain, so it can create a very verbose, very detailed log inside PostgreSQL log. So if we need more like that, we can ask that give us detail, enable the logging, the query planner logging, and it will print in the log and just send us the log that we can analyze that what's going on with this. So there are different ways to different detail level logging. Of course, Postgres has very robust and very detailed logging facilities available. Simple query printing, some detail, even the debug D4 log or very more detailed log. So depending on the situation, we ask for maybe a simple investigation, and if we cannot find out, then we ask for the detailed logs, and we can investigate the issue.
오케이.
Yeah.
자, 이제 두 번 세션 갖겠습니다, 여러분들. 아무래도 이제 오늘 지금 AI가 좀 자동 번역하고 있는데 여러분들 들으시면서 AI 같이 보시면 되겠습니다. 자, 이제 두 번 세션은요, 실제로 이제 AI 시대 때 많은 분야가 여러 변화가 있겠지만 DB 운영의 입장에서는 어떠한 챌린지가 있는지 그런 것들을 또 어떤 식으로 우리가 또 대응을 해야 되는지 이런 얘기들을 미리 우마르 팀장님과 토크 나누는 영상 보겠습니다. 이런 AI 시대 때 PostgreSQL 입장에서는 메인 챌린지 한 3가지 좀 얘기해 주신다면.
Right now there are two ways to use the AI is used in PostgreSQL with the PostgreSQL. One is some agent is using the PostgreSQL.
Right.
The other one is the DBA is using agent for himself to make it easy their task. The most challenging part, I guess, is where agent directly try to control or engage with the database. There are two ways to engage with the database. Either as a DBA, agent is tuning the database. The other one is just using it. Of course, in both ways there are some concerns. So there are a lot of good things and also the challenges too. When they start using it, the human, they have a fixed kind of pattern how they use it. But the agent, or maybe even somebody invoked that agent, but still he asks a random question, how to do it. Now agent will decide how should I query the database, and his way of interacting with the database, it's not deterministic. Okay, it could be like a random something, because he think that I should ask this thing, and he will just ask it. Okay, maybe human did not even think about it, and the agent has a logic that it have to ask that question whether it is needed or not needed. So in that way, it generated a lot of traffic.
I see.
Human maybe have only generate the traffic what they can understand, and the agent generate more traffic. This is one way to use it, and the other one is human have that sense that they can, if their intention is good, they won't do anything bad. But agent, if you did not put that kind of intelligence in the agent, it might be accessing some data which it should not access. Okay, maybe humans see the data and say, I should not see this data, I should stop it. Agent does not have that kind of intelligence, but it would start using that data. And now because of that, the attack surface, what we call, is increased. The thing which might not be humanly possible previously, now they are agent based, agently possible.
I see.
So the attack surface is increased, and in last, if you see, of course now the AI agent are used for the attacks too. It is easier to exploit some issue, the vulnerability in few hours. Previously it was used to take few days to, somebody found a flaw in a system. First he need to find out how to exploit that flaw. Which libraries to use, what should be the attack vector, I should do this step, this step, this step, and then now agent can do in few minutes. So the attack surface is expanded.
Yeah.
Also the speed is also increased. So this is the other one is the security challenge. One is like the first one is performance, that it's non-deterministic. You don't know the pattern. Previously there are different patterns, like everybody performance have different, okay, the graph is like this, the graph is that. You can predict the pattern. Now when you get the query, you don't know how to handle that kind of the queries, that kind of pattern, random patterns. When we say random, it's not even a pattern.
Right.
Random traffic, it's not a
random is random. How we handle that kind of non-deterministic random approach?
You cannot stop them. Okay, maybe the thing you can do is to limit them. Like for example, if they are sending a traffic which will destroy your system, then limit them
I see.
with some timeout. It means you reach that threshold. After that, the system can misbehave, and can be disturbed. Maybe not as a system, even the other user can get disturbed. I mean, if one user is using 99% of the resources, the other would be. So there are multiple, way to limit, resource limitation. To check, this much I/O is enough. Then also for the agent services, I believe there should be separate roles in the DBs. You can define different kind of roles. Previously roles were for the like security team, DBA team, normal user, app user. Now you should have also a service and agent use cases.
Now we have to assign each role to agent too, not only human being. Right?
Yeah, agent too, and also with the roles you can define some like resource limitation. And also if the query is taking too long, maybe it is using too much resources, how to limit it. If it is using too much disk, stop it somewhere. You have to stop it somewhere. That
I see.
it means that's enough.
What do you think about we make an agent whose main role is preventing that kind of performance degradation or watchdog agent?
That's true. The other use case I said, there were two use cases. One is a normal user, so these are like that. The other is they can help the DBAs. But those are the good thing.
I see.
But of course, when we say it should do those good things, but still if you give it some power, it might lead to some bad thing as well.
I see. That's not his intention, but he random, right?
Yeah, random. Like for example, now you remove the DBA from the picture, or maybe DBA is still there, but you still give some autonomy to agent. Now agent would predict top different kind of but also if you after it may unintentionally, because let's say he is monitoring traffic for another agent and maybe his other agent is doing good thing, but he thought that is a bad thing and he stopped it. Then the user will see some the result are not like I did not get result at all because somebody stopped it, and the other stopping person was an agent, or maybe it's not it totally blocked the traffic at all. If somebody is not human is not in the loop, then there's a high availability issue. That the database is down, it's not accepting the traffic. Who changed the rule? So if you gave the agent that power, he can without asking changing those rules, then it can be a problem.
I see. So you think that human in the loop is very important and necessary.
Very necessary.
I
yes.
see.
It
Very
is
necessary. I
necessary.
see. 요새 보면 또 AI가 나오면서 몇 년 전부터 한국에서도 많은 기업들이 이제 RAG, RAG 도입하고 벡터 데이터도 쓰고 막 그러거든요. 그런 것들이 DBA 입장에서는 어떤 챌린지를 주는 겁니까?
Like if you want to use the database with for the AI use case, RAG or other, and you have to think very carefully, how to efficiently use it, how to combine multiple capabilities. The AI searching like vector search capability with the normal filters. So of course using this one, the user can improve the usability as well as the precision, and also it can improve the performance as well if you use it properly. So the DBAs or the developers, they need to carefully see how they should use it. There are different kind of to make it faster. There are different features. If they are to get the data out of the database, there are multiple ways. Creating different kind of indexes to make it faster. So there for the PostgreSQL and other database PostgreSQL, there are multiple indexes. The ways to provide. Use this one for this scenario. Use the other one for this scenario. The challenges I see, most of the people, they just think about, the simple use case, very limited use case. But with the big company, there are different challenges. Like the data is not one time, you might be getting more and more data time to time.
Yeah, right.
So the feature you choose, like one index, can it support incremental update? Some index don't provide that functionality. So, but if your use case is like, it is one time thing, then it's good. If it is incremental, then you should, because if you inject more data and it start changing the structure, then it kind of downtime. Your other queries would be slow. Okay, he's working on something, database working on to reindex, restructure the data, and now you should wait it. But Depending on, if the use case is that it should be operational and you have a lot of traffic, then choose, that kind of structure which fits your needs. So this is how, how to make it, the result should be precise. I mean, there is a hallucination. The AI have to tell you something. If it is factually correct or not, maybe AI does not care, but you need to care about it. Okay, so how precise is the response? That person who implemented the agent or using, he will have more responsibility, not the agent.
Okay.
The GPT, if some other prompt, it would respond you something and it will say, okay, I am correct, but you can say you are not correct, it will say I am not correct. Somebody have to make that improve that precision. So you can use the AI, search with the normal database filtering, combine them, or AI with the graph filtering, graph rag, to improve that thing. So improve the accuracy of the result. And of course, there are some areas where you need kind of 100% accuracy. Like if you are using the AI in the medical, there is very limited room for error. That's why even right now in the different the people say use it with a grain of salt, that don't get medical advices from GPT. Okay, cross check it, check with the doctor. So it means there are some industries where accuracy really matters. So there is very
like finance.
Yeah, like finance too. Like if there is 1 0 here and there, one dot from here and there.
Yeah, one comma.
Yeah, one comma.
PostgreSQL하고 이제 AI하고 결합했을 때 기업이 가질 수 있는 뭐 비즈니스 가치를 좀 얘기해 주신다면?
The first thing is, if you see the popularity of PostgreSQL, a lot of people are already using PostgreSQL. So they have a lot of data. The one thing is they shift the data to some other database and get the AI result. Or the other thing is more easier is to bring that AI into PostgreSQL. If you are a company and you are developing some product or adding some value to the customer, it would be faster. You already have the data, you already have the whole infrastructure for it. You just need to implement those AI features, and PostgreSQL do provide those features. So it's easier to develop AI feature and in the PostgreSQL if you already have a Postgres setup. So the time to go to market is very short. So otherwise you have to understand a new database, shift the data to the other. Next point is also related to the first point. Right now you see the data sovereignty. You don't want to send your data. Previously the same concept was somehow related to cloud too. The people used to have the concerns that my data should not leave this territory.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the main concern for the cloud. Cloud is good, but that was the main concern. Now the same is for the AI. Now let's say for the AI you have to send either data or some other form, embedding form. In any form if you have to shift your data to some other place, you don't want to do it. Okay. So that data sovereignty is very important. PostgreSQL is very extensible. That's one of the big thing about PostgreSQL popularity, that you see different company from last 30-40 years make different forks for different kind of use cases because it allows it. PostgreSQL by design is very extensible. You see there are graph data fork for it, there is the document fork of it, you will see AI fork of it, there is a native AI feature inside it. So because of its extensibility,
it's a transformer DNA.
So you can transform it, so you just add a few extra extensions, few extra features. They would work seamlessly with the existing feature, and now you can use all the feature along with that extra features too. Yeah, so you can efficiently store the data, retrieve the data or vector embeddings in the PostgreSQL using extension, and also integrate with other features too.
I see.
Is there anything to talk about the Postgre related to the AI companies such as like ChatGPT, OpenAI and stuff? Because their backend DBMS using the PostgreSQL, right?
Yes. I mean, few weeks ago there was an article published by ChatGPT, the core company, how they are using PostgreSQL.
I see.
Now, how would you use 30-40 database and how they interconnect? how users are getting this performance, and the backbone is the database is like PostgreSQL, and how efficiently this PostgreSQL is working in that big setup.
They publish the whole structure?
The structure,
whole architecture? Something
yeah,
like
this
that?
is
Oh,
how we are using PostgreSQL
I see.
with not only one multiple database.
I see.
There is a group of database in a multiple hierarchy. That how they are efficiently working for us.
I see.
Most of the time, these big AI companies they publish that like the that kind of architecture that how efficiently you can do it. I mean, if we can do it, you can do it as well. It's like a proven architecture for the AI companies and the big company which have enormous data that you can use PostgreSQL.
I see.
In this fashion. There are multiple perspectives. So every company, and recently, there are a couple of, especially the ChatGPT, they mention on their own proper blog with a structure that we are using this PostgreSQL with these many nodes, and it is working perfectly for us.
Next time, we'll have another webinar, how the OpenAI use the PostgreSQL.
Sure.
That will be a very, the attractive webinar theme.
Of course.
Please study that, right? And let me know, okay? 네, 자 이제 세션 2 질문 하겠습니다. 김인섭님께서요. 일반적인 벤더는 문제가 발생하면 우회책을 주로 제시하는데 컨트리뷰터가 있는 조직이 업스트림 패치를 반영하는 과정에서 일반 고객사가 얻을 수 있는 구체적인 기술적 이점은 무엇일까요? 이건 남부장님께서 답변해 주실 것 같은데.
예. 일반적인 이제 상용 제품 같은 경우는 한 회사에서 소프트웨어를 제조를 하기 때문에 그 회사 안에서는 이제 영업이라든지 기술이라든지 R&D 조직이 있겠죠. 그래서 그 상용 제품을 개발을 했던 R&D에서 보통 이제 해결책이나 이런 뭐 업데이트나 패치를 제공하기 마련인데요. 특히 포스트그레 기반의 어떤 사업을 하고 있는 상황에서는 저희가 커뮤니티에서 커밋을 하고 기여를 하는 사람들에 의해서 제품이 만들어지다 보니까 이렇게 개별 고객사의 어떤 장애라든지 이거에 대한 즉각적인 패치를 실제로는 받을 수 없는, 다음 버전에 정말 크리티컬한 어떤 문제였다면 다음 패치에 거의 약 1년 정도 가량의 어떤 시간을
1년이나 걸려?
네, 매년 이제 새로운 버전이 나오고 있는데요.
네.
그런 과정을 꼭 거쳐야 되는데 컨트리뷰터를 보유하고 있다라고 하면은 특히나 이제 해커의 어떤 그 컨트리뷰터를 보유하고 있다면 평상시에 이제 위클리 미팅이라든지 소위 말해서 이제 디스코드라는 그룹 챗을 통해서 매주 이제 위클리 미팅을 진행하고 있다고 합니다. 그래서 저희 회사에 계신 지금 우마르 팀장 같은 경우에도 PG풀 멤버로서 이 커뮤니티 풀 안에 들어가 있는데요. 예전 어떤 과거의 경험으로 비춰봤을 때 어떤 문제가 발생을 하면 즉시 컨트리뷰터한테 이제 리치아웃하고 그 다음에 바로 그 즉시 그 문제 해결을 해주는 경우도 있었고요. 굳이 다음 버전까지 기다리지 않아도 바로 즉시 해결했던 그런 사례도 있는 만큼 정말 컨트리뷰터는 이 글로벌 커뮤니티의 어떤 그 커넥션이 있다라고 하는 거는 안정성과 기술 경쟁력에 있어서 아주 큰 의미라고 저는 생각을 하고 있습니다.
네, 알겠습니다. 자, 그다음에 김홍식님께서요. 요거는 우마르 팀장님이 답변해 주시면 좋을 것 같은데 컨트리뷰터가 아닌 일반 DBA가 PostgreSQL 커뮤니티에 이제부터 기여를 뭔가 시작하려고 하면 어떤 단계부터 추천하시는지요?
Like for the DBAs, at least they are different. How PostgreSQL works is that there are different mailing lists. There is a hackers mailing list who involve in the the development of PostgreSQL. But of course, there is a bugs mailing list. There is a general mailing list. And at least DBA should at least join those mailing lists.
I see.
Just go to the mailing list of the PostgreSQL website and join it. Okay, and you will see you don't even need to join it. By the way, you can see all the emails archived there too. You can browse it there. You can search it there too. But the better is, if you want to get yourself involved, subscribe it. You will get the emails regularly. You can choose, whether you want weekly summary or just every email. Okay, and you will get the emails. Looking at those emails, you will see the problems other people are facing.
I see.
Other DBAs are facing. If there is any bug which other person encountered, and maybe that is also applicable to your environment too. And you should be proactive. You see that these are the symptoms, I should fix this scenario that it should not happen. Okay, so there are different mailing lists they can join. Now that's the first step, at least first you need to engage with the community, at least see how they are doing it, how they communicate it. And then if you have
first to see what's going on, right?
What's going on,
through the mailing list. Okay.
Through the mailing list,
All
what's
right.
going on, get into the environment, get into the room first, see around, and then you can suggest.
How come you can reply through the
You
email?
can reply to anybody in the email.
I see.
Nobody would say, why did you reply? You can help everybody.
Okay.
Like for example, one way to learn something is to help other. Because when you help other, you before that you also learn something. With a different perspective you look at it, how to easily explain to somebody else. Using those mailing lists, somebody reported a problem, you see, okay, I've been to this problem, or I can reply him. Just reply to them. Or in a separate, some thread, you can suggest that, this is how I'm using it, maybe can we improve it? This is the typical pattern, can we add some feature? And if somebody see that, okay, this is a good feature proposal, you do not have to, develop yourself. All the hacker read those emails. If somebody see a nice idea or a behavior that a specific industry or a company is using and it is worth developing a feature, they would develop for you too. Okay, so main thing is that get involved in the communication and provide your perspective, like Korean perspective.
I see.
Or your industry perspective, how you use it, how this product is not fit for the product. Even that that perspective is also useful. If somebody say no, you cannot use it like this, in this industry you cannot use PostgreSQL, somebody would ask why. Then the communication, the start, okay, why, what kind of problem you are seeing. Maybe there is a just problem on the surface where maybe it need more research, and somebody would do it.
I see.
Yeah.
지금 사실 우마르티님 말한 거를 사실 지금 AI가 없었다면 우리가 사실 우리 일반 한국 사람들은 거의 불가능한 건데 지금 뭐 챗GPT 제품 다 있으니까 여러분들 충분히 지금 우마르티님이 하신 거를 충분히 시작할 수 있을 것 같아요. 그죠? 한번 해보시는 게 좋을 것 같습니다. 김광영님께서 포스트그레 제품인 EDB를 사용한 적이 있는데 시장에서 기술자를 구하는 것이 너무 어려웠던 경험이 있습니다. 이것이 오라클 대비 가장 큰 단점인 것 같은데 현재 상황은 어떤가요? 남부장님?
네. 이 부분은 제가 설명 좀 드릴 수 있을 것 같은데요.
네.
사실 우리나라에서 오픈소스라는 그 용어 자체가 생소한 게 불과 몇 년 전이었던 것 같습니다.
네,
그래서
네.
저희가 사업을 진행을 하게 되면 오픈소스란 이러면서 이제 화두를 던지면서 이제 사업을 할 정도로 오픈소스가 되게 이제 무르익지 않은 상황이었는데요. 저희는 그 말씀 주신 것처럼 오라클에 대한 어떤 교육 인프라와 그 교육을 통해서 배출한 엔지니어들이 엄청 많은 것이 이제 현실이고요. 오픈소스를 이제 아무래도 그 진행을 하다 보니까 저희가 이제 글로벌한 그 기반을 저변을 닫고 있다고 저희는 생각을 하고 있습니다. 그래서 한 예로 PG데이 서울이라고 해서 이제 포스트그레 관련된 어떤 행사를 매년 개최를 하고 있는데요. 인젠트는 이렇게 꾸준하게 그 오픈소스 특히나 이제 포스트그레 행사에 지원을 하게 되면서 저변을 생태계의 어떤 기반을 닫고 있다고 생각을 합니다. 그래서 저희가 산학협력 차원에서도 지금 대학교에 많이 그 두드리고 있고 어떤 이제 자체적인 어떤 교육 커리큘럼과 저희가 이번에 이제 파트너 모집을 통해서 좀 진행하는 부분이 있다 보니까 다양한 업체들을 통해서 이제 교육도 진행을 하고 커리큘럼이 조금 더 단단해지게 되면 전반적으로 우리나라에 많은 포스트그레 관련된 엔지니어가 양성될 것이라고 저는 생각하고 있습니다.
네. 자, 그 다음에 요거는 이제 우마르 팀장님께서 하시면 될 것 같은데요. API 호출 패턴이 랜덤하게 발생하면서 동일 테이블에 다양한 조건의 쿼리가 동시에 들어올 때 인덱스 설계를 범용적으로 가져갈지 아니면 일부 쿼리를 포기하고 선택적으로 최적화해야 할지 판단 기준이 궁금합니다.
You know, that depends on your overall table, you know, the query where you are querying a table, whether it's just a read-only table, whether it is update-heavy table. Okay, let's say if I looking at the whole picture, I just say just create more indexes. You know, I can say, you know, okay, just create as many indexes as one, because everybody is trying to read one table, and if we add one index or maybe more index or index on every column, it would be faster. But that's not the case. If you add too many indexes, that can also be a problem. Why? If you insert more data, the system need to update those indexes as well. So it will slow down the, you know, the query performance, or maybe so depending on the, you know, scenario, whether it is getting the data from one table, whether you can create more index or not. Secondly, what kind of data it is, and what kind of index you need to create. And secondly, one, can that index update itself incrementally or not? Okay, some index cannot do incrementally, some index can do incrementally in parallel, you know, concurrently or incrementally can they update or not. So if that's the scenario, then you should create an index on the column, okay, or a table or some expression. But if that is not the case, you have the update heavy traffic on the same table, the index can be a bottleneck. Okay, so then tune your queries too. Okay, or either, you know, other you know, this is one way to, you know, to see how to, you know, of course you can use different you know, like that's a normal traffic, but you can run, previously I answered the question, run the explain analyze, you know, analyze the query plan, you know, what kind of indexes it is using and why, if the query is slow or not. Okay, and whether creating a new index would improve it or not. Maybe for one explain analyze, it will show that it will improve, but you should also consider the traffic. So if index have to update it, then it will make, although that plan looks good, it shows that it will improve, but when you will get more updates, index will start improving, you know, updating, and it will slow down your query. So it depends on the situation and, you know, the how the update heavy system or not.
오케이.
Yeah.
오케이. 자, 이제 세션 2 마쳤고요. 이제 세션 3는요, 실제로 이 글로벌 우마르 팀장님 같은 글로벌 컨트리뷰터가 인젠트 조인함으로 인해 가지고 어떤 시장이나 또 인젠트 요 회사 내에도 어떤 변화가 있는지 이런 얘기들을 오늘 한번 들어보겠습니다. 한국에서 이렇게 4년 동안 굉장히 많은 기업들을 만나셨을 텐데 한국 시장만의 뭐 특이하네 하는 거가 있다면 어떤 거예요?
Most of the companies, like, you know, for especially technology, it's like a bottom-up approach. You know, the developers already know, they find different alternate, they suggest it, and then company, you know. But in Korea, I see most like, you know, the
top down.
It's like a top down. It's a top down. Even the developer struggle, he already found a better alternate, but until somebody decide at the top, not only decide, you know, first you need to understand that, you know, but that's a long path.
Why top made that decision?
Yeah, before making decision, of course, they have to understand, but it's a long journey.
You know, sometimes top doesn't know.
It doesn't.
That's why it takes more time.
That's why it takes more time. The question is, does he have to know? In the other world is like, you know, the top says, okay, you find an alternate solution, it fit every need and it has a better alternate. Just use it. I do not need to maybe understand that much, you know, unless it has some that kind of static decision, just you start using it, you know, how to use it, you know, that's the question. But here is like the, you know, top down, the first, even I don't know whether it should be, they should understand or not, but they have to make the decision, and the bottom layer is mostly reluctant to, you know, even suggest the alternate and then, you know, make the decision, you know, that kind of technical decision.
I see. What is a bright side of the Korean market?
In other countries, you might be struggling with because the technological advancement is happening in all the fields. So it's more easier to integrate in different fields.
I see.
Maybe in other country you are a bit advanced, but the other field is a bit slow.
I see.
How would you help them?
Right.
They have to catch up. That I see in Korea, that everything is in a pace, although
I see.
everything is slow, but still they are parallel.
I see.
Parallel
I
performance.
see.
So that's a good thing, Literally I see people engaging IT with the medical with industry with other one, So there is a whole, everybody have to, increase their IT engagement, and even government is, also very sportive. Some new technology happen, they, encourage and start new project, and so there are very few countries, who do that kind of. Right now you will see that AI is not, the first step is just the Gen AI, like physical AI or agentic AI, you start to engage with other industries. Until now it is just the software, but the next step is you have to engage.
Domain.
Yeah, the other, you have to integrate with other domain. How would you do it if the other domain is not at that level? So the Korea has that kind of potential, almost I see every domain has the potential to be the first one, like for the agentic AI or physical AI.
I see.
So that's a very good thing, I guess.
You better say to our president. 아무래도 한국 기업들하고 이제 오픈소스 프로젝트 많이 하셨을 텐데 한국 기업들이 이런 오픈소스를 도입할 때 어떤 어려움들이 있는 것 같아요?
As I mentioned earlier as well, that maybe the reason for the top down or bottom up this difference is that in other country the individual developer or the in-house developer, they engage and they propose or take the step or take the responsibility. But most of the time, because of maybe compliance reason, that most of the big companies, they rely on the SI companies, because they have to make SI companies responsible for these things.
Nice.
They don't want to make themselves responsible. Okay, so most of the Korean companies, they do business through the SI. Even if you convince that company that this solution is good, but before that you have to convince the SI company that they have to sell them. So there is not a direct selling between the vendor and the customer. So most of the time for big deals it's like the SI company.
So always a middleman who is in charge of responsibility.
Yes. So that's the one thing. Another thing is because now that is responsible, because why maybe one reason they are not directly engaging with the open source is then somebody have to understand all the licensing, different kind of licensing themselves, whether it is a lenient license or not, whether if we use it, whether there would be some repercussions, is it some bad thing or not, can we change the name? There are so many now open source license and not all of them are permissive. Can we use it? If we use it, should we use a license, attach it here, or should we mention in our website we are using it or not? If we sometime like GPL license, they have the requirement, if you change them, then you have to make it open source, your own software, and company don't want to do it. So there is a kind of confusion understanding the licensing requirement. But in the other countries, the Western companies I used to work with, they have different companies, they have their own very strong like technical teams inside the company, expertise inside, and they very they don't rely on the SI company.
I see.
They have their own the skill set, and like even PostgreSQL, there are two kind of contributors. One are like database companies. The others are not the database business, some other company, but still they are using database, and they are using database so much. Their own expertise are at that level that their people contribute code level contribution in the Postgres community.
제가 알기로는 올해 1월 달에 인젠트에 조인한 식으로 알고 있는데 한국에서도 굉장히 많은 기업들이 있을 텐데 데이터베이스는 인젠트를 선택하신 이유가 뭐예요?
The one thing is for me to make these kind of decision is like first it should be a database company where you have more the customer perspective, how they use it, what kind of issue they face. So there is not one kind of problem you have to solve. You have the challenges. At the same time you have to solve multiple kind of problem and they should coexist. So if you solve one problem, it should not disturb the use case. So the Engine is a company with a quite old PostgreSQL based company. So this is a quite good opportunity to work in this kind of company, that if the companies already have a lot of use cases, you can shape the direction of the PostgreSQL the product line. Okay, so it would be you can innovate more in a PostgreSQL company because now you have a dedicated mission. You have to improve PostgreSQL, and at the same time, now there is this whole environment. You are in a PG company, everybody talk about it, and it's easier to integrate with the upstream or open source community. You can tell, okay, we found this problem, we fixed it. How about you also fix in the upstream as well?
I see.
So it's a two-way. I mean, in give and take, you know, like if we fix it, it is good for us, it's good for the other people too. So this is one way to, you know, that's how I decided to join, you know, this engine.
So that make you some kind of achievement, right? Terror is not matter? 남성님은 글로벌 컨트리뷰터가 우마르 팀장님뿐만 아니라 다양한 사람도 있을 텐데
예.
그 많은 사람 중에서 왜 우마르 팀장님을 이제 선택하셨어요?
아까 초기에도 말씀을 이제 우마르 팀장님이 말씀하신 것처럼
네.
이제 여러 나라에서 다양한 그 환경에서
네.
경험했던 그 경험치를 엄청 중요시 생각하고 있고요. 그래서 아무래도 이미 10년이 넘게 저희 그 포스그레에 대해서 많이 경험이 있으셨던 어떤 전문 분야이기 때문에 보다 더 신뢰하고 같이 동행할 수 있었던 어떤 계기가 됐던 것 같습니다.
저도 이제 많은 이제 국내 데이터베이스 하는 회사들을 많이 만나봤지만 이렇게 외국인 전문가를 특히 글로벌 컨트리뷰터를 이렇게 영입을 한다 이런 걸 저 처음 봤거든요. 그래서
네.
이런 발상의 어떤 전환인데 이런 발상의 전환을 하게 된 계기가 뭐예요?
아무래도 포스그레라는 이 거대한 생태계에 조금 더 딥다이브 하고 싶다라는 부분이 있었고요. 그 딥다이브 하기 위해서는 고객이라는 어떤 존재 가치가 제일 컸습니다. 아무래도 오픈소스에 있는 거에 대한 코드를 보다 더 전문적으로 잘 사용을 하기 위해서는 컨트리뷰터나 커뮤니터나 리뷰어의 어떤 이런 전문가적인 시선이 되게 필요하다고 필수적이라고 생각을 했고요. 아쉽게도 포스그레에서의 어떤 성장세는 지난 40년 동안 되게 꾸준하게 올라왔지만 특히나 우리나라에서는 조금 미약했던 부분이 있었습니다. 그래서 특히 우리나라 사람으로서의 어떤 컨트리뷰터를 찾기는 좀 어려웠고 이렇게 좀 해외 분들을 이렇게 모시게 돼서 그나마 좀 다행이라고 생각을 하는데요. 저희가 고객에게 더 맞춤 서비스나 맞춤 제품을 제공하기 위해서는 정말 코어 단의 DBMS를 바라볼 줄 알고 그거의 환경에 맞게 튜닝하고 이제 모디파이 해주는 그런 스킬이 필수적이라고 생각했습니다. 그래서 그런 전적으로 회사의 전략적인 방향과 이제 부합해서 저희가 이렇게 좀 연이 됐던 것 같습니다.
또 이렇게 죄송해요. 우마르 팀장님 같은 분을 이제 영입을 하게 되면 자연스럽게 좋은 기운이 회사의 다른 이제 데이터베이스 엔지니어들, 개발자들한테 퍼져가지고
네.
그 사람들도 우마를 보면서 나도 저런 컨트리뷰터 될까? 이런 생각도 할 수 있을 것 같은데.
그럼요.
어때요?
비전을 존재 자체만으로도 비전을 제시할 수 있다고 생각이 되고요. 공기가 달라졌다고 하는 게 정확하게 맞을 것 같아요. 그래서 인젠트를 이제 포스트그레 사업을 하고 있는데 두 가지 변화가 크게 감지가 되었습니다. 그래서 첫 번째는 사업적인 측면과 두 번째는 이제 그 사내 문화적인 측면이겠죠. 그래서 첫 번째는 사업적으로는 포스트그레라는 거를 DBMS를 도입하기 위해서는 어떤 라이프 사이클을 살펴보시면 도입 단계가 있고 운영 단계가 있고 운영하다가 장애가 발생하는 해프닝이 좀 있겠죠.
네네.
도입 단계에서는 아까도 말씀드린 것처럼 보다 맞춤형 서비스와 제품을 제공할 수 있는 부분입니다. 예를 들어서 자동차에 저희가 음향 조절 시스템을 하게 되면 베이스의 높낮이, 트래블 높낮이, 그 다음에 아쿠스틱 아니면 서라운딩 이런 조절 값을 본인 취향에 맞게 하지 않습니까? 그래서 DBMS 또한 HA라는 기능과 DR이라는 기능, 각 회사의 트래픽의 정도나 환경에 맞게 저희가 모디파이 할 수 있는 부분이 그 폭이 훨씬 더 많아졌기 때문에 그런 튜닝이라는 부분이 되게 이제 많이 바뀌어졌고요. 도입 단계를 넘어서서 도입 단계 또한 이제 상용 소프트웨어의 어떤 마이그레이션 과정에서 어떤 이런 그 언어 호환적인 부분 그런 부분을 조금 더 쉽게 변화할 수 있는 부분을 저희가 할 수 있고 도입 이후에 이제 운영 단계에서의 어떤 튜닝 서비스라든지 이런 부분 또한 또 전문가의 어떤 손길이 필요하잖아요.
네네.
그래서 그런 부분이 있고 마지막으로 이제 장애가 발생이 됐을 때는 사실 오픈소스다 보니까 커뮤니티 아까 이메일로 이제 진행을 한다고 했는데 보다 콜이나 이제 보다 더 짧은 루트로 그리고 보다 더 경험이 많으시다 보니까 저희가 직접적으로 저희가 포크 버전이나 저희가 제품화했던 부분을 누구보다도 저희 제품을 개조하거나 그 장애를 원인을 찾고 해결하는 데 있어서 보다 효율적이라 생각을 합니다.
임시 처방만으로 끝나는 것이 아니라.
예. 그리고 두 번째는 사내 문화인데요. 아까도 말씀드렸듯이 이제 한국에서도 비교적 좀 늦게 시작한 포스트그레 그 에코 생태계지만 다른 엔지니어나 DBA나 DBA들이 우마르 팀장님과 같이 코업을 하게 되면서 본인의 어떤 커리어 패스에 대한 비전이라든지 이런 부분이 있을 수가 있을 것 같아요.
네네.
그래서 저는 복지가 좋아졌다라고 얘기를 하고 싶은데 그 이유는 물질적인 어떤 그 베네핏, 환경에 대한 직원 복지보다 저는 옆에 있는 사람이 얼마나 훌륭하고 배울 수 있느냐가 회사가 줄 수 있는 어떤 이런 장터, 일하는 장터를 만들어줄 수 있다고 생각을 합니다.
한국인 엔지니어 중에서 우마 팀장을 보고서 포스트그레스QL 커뮤니티에 옛날보다 좀 더 적극적으로 참여하고 그런가요?
예, 맞습니다. 저 안 그래도 이번 연도에 저희가 리뷰어로서 발탁이 된 분이 두 분이나 계신데요.
네.
이제 한국 분으로서 이제 두 분이 발탁이 되셔서
네.
이번 내년에 출시되는 포스트그레 19 버전에는 저희 그 리뷰어로서 인젠트가 기여하게 되는 어떤 그런 원년의 해가 될 것 같아요.
네.
그래서 이번 연도 5월 달에 또한 컨퍼런스 그 디벨로퍼들만의 컨퍼런스를 저희가 인젠트가 참여를 하게 됩니다. 그래서 많은 어떤 그 첫문을 열어주셨다고
네.
볼 수 있겠습니다.
사실 우리나라 한국 사람들이 이제 언어가 사실 영어가 네이티브 사이 거의 없잖아요.
네.
없는데 AI 시대니까 점점 내년도 되면 실제로 이런 외국인 전문가가 같이 회사 조인하더라도 언어적으로도 불편하지가 않게 AI가 점점 더 잘 도와줄 것 같아요.
예,
그죠?
AI를 똑똑하게 잘 활용하면 좋을 것 같고요.
네.
아무래도 이런 언어에 대한 장벽도 장벽이지만 어떤 이런 문화적인 장벽도 또 스스로 헤쳐나가야 되는 게 또
네.
과제라고 생각합니다.
네. 우마 팀장님, 그 마지막으로 그 이렇게 한국의 오픈소스를 사용하는 많은 이제 이런 기업 고객 분들한테 팁 하나 주시고 또 DBA한테도 팁 하나 주신다면.
One thing I would say is, to help the community. Right now, just not only as a consumer, but as a participant. It's an open source project.
Okay.
As I mentioned, everybody can join that community, and you don't need to give, like the source code or modify anything. Even if you just give the feedback, how we are using it, that's even good for the DBA. If you say some feature are missing or something is not working, you have to speak up.
I see.
You have to tell them your perspective that we are using your product. It's not yours, nobody own it, but we are using this product in this way, and this is the result we see. Can we improve it? So then community is open to listen. That's the one practical, I guess, thing. Every the DBR, every company should do. Not as a consumer, but become a participant in an open source project, and just provide the feedback at least, minimum. Engage with community.
I see.
It's quite open community.
I see.
Yeah.
네, 잘 보셨죠? 자, 여러분 오늘 지금 설문하고 있으니까 설문에 뭐 자료 요청이나 피드백 편하게 해주시면 되겠고요. 그 다음에 채팅창으로 오늘 이렇게 처음으로 어떻게 보면 이제 실시간으로 AI 써가지고 실시간으로 이제 AI 통역 같이 했지 않습니까? 이렇게 하고 사전 녹화해서 또 자막 녹화했는데 이렇게 외국인 전문가와 앞으로 이런 경우가 앞으로 점점 많아질 것 같거든요. 토크아이티에서도 오늘 같은 이런 포맷이 어떠셨는지 채팅창에다가 좀 편하게 좀 이렇게 여러분 코멘트 주셔도 좋을 것 같습니다. 알겠죠? 자, 질문 하나 받겠습니다. 사실 이용규님께서 질문하신 건데 사실 요거는 제가 사전 녹화할 때 요 내용을 늘려다가 제가 너무 이렇게 양이 많아가지고 넣지 않았거든요. 근데 질문하셔가지고 오마르 팀장이 답변하시면 좋을 것 같은데 High Availability HA는 구성이 아니라 검증이라는 포인트가 인상적인데 대규모 PostgreSQL 환경에서 운영자가 흔히 놓치는 검증의 사각지대 한 가지만 꼽으신다면 무엇이며 이를 자동화할 수 있는 뭐 노하우가 있다면 어떤 것일까요?
So for the high availability, the one is configuration and then validation. So most of the time I see the organization miss the first part too, which is what we call theoretical validation. Okay, either all the scenarios are not covered in relating it to the configuration parameter which are available. Let's say before even the actual validation, everybody should validate theoretically that if this incident happened, this system failed, what the other system would do. Pinpoint, like it will take 3 seconds to check, health check, then it will try 3 times. You have to multiply that time by 3. Then it will initiate this process for recovery. Recovery will take this time. Then you have to have clear RTO, okay, that validate it theoretically all the scenarios, okay, and then validate them your own the physical, actually try to do them whether it is behaving the same way as or not. Okay, we do, I mean, when we develop this software, our QA team and the developer do all those scenarios. We cover all the scenarios.
I see.
But of course, in the production, it could be different. So in those scenarios, they should also revalidate all the scenarios. And also, I guess it is mentioned one thing. I guess there's another thing is that choosing the proper, because now this is open source community, there are a lot of tools available. Okay, most famous like PG Bouncer, PG Pool, there is PG Cat or some other, which one you should use, Maybe one company will just say, okay, use this one because we only know this one, But the company should see after those scenarios, they see, okay, which tool is best fit for our business.
I see.
Okay, so these are the two things about choosing the right tool, okay, and then validating it in your specific scenario. Okay, that is more important in high availability.
I see.
Yeah. So.
Okay. 자, 오늘 자, Q&A는 오늘 좀 오늘 여기까지 했고, 여러분들 또 개별 질문에 대해서 또 인젠트의 전문가들이 또 개별적인 댓글도 다녔으니까 댓글도 체크해 보시기 바라고요. 자, 이제 부사장님, 오늘 질문하신 분 중에서 그 이름 두 분 좀 불러주시겠어요?
어려운데요.
네.
마지막 질문을 해주셨던 이원규 님이랑 그다음에 김광영 분을 지목하겠습니다.
오케이. 자, 김광영, 이원규 두 분은요, 저희 스태프 이메일 주소로 본인 이름, 주소, 핸드폰, 이메일 보내시면 제가 준비한 게 홍보되겠습니다. 자, 마지막으로 it's the last time, so Umar, please, saying some comment to...
Yeah, the first thing, the first thing I would say, to apologize. There are a lot of questions, and this is a short session.
Okay, all right.
Maybe we need more session. Yeah, of course, there are a lot of questions. Of course, I mean, it's not, I'm not able to answer, all of them, or maybe not in that detail, because there are a lot of, as you said, there should be more easy to explain, but there are a lot of technical terms.
Right,
I mean, it's very hard to avoid those technical terms and still answer the question. And maybe that person is also expecting technical terms. So, apologies for that, you're not answering all the question. And, it's really nice to, talk to people and talk about Postgres with the, the general, audience. So, thank you for having us here.
Okay. 자, 부사장님. 네.
예, 저희 그 마지막 그 발언권을 주셔가지고, 저희 AI 시대 사실 포스트그레가 그냥 단순 DBMS가 아니라 데이터 플랫폼으로서 되게 각광을 받고 있습니다. 몇 가지 이유가 있는데요. 첫 번째로는 이제 예전에 적재해놓고 데이터를 분석했던 것이 아니라 이제는 실시간으로 데이터 안에서 연산 처리를 할 수 있는 직접. 그래서 인 데이터베이스 AI라는 어떤 기능, 그리고 이제 예전엔 하나의 통합 SQL로 벡터 DB와 이제 메타데이터의 어떤 그 필터링을 결합할 수 있는 그런 부분이 포스트그레가 이 AI 시대에서 되게 각광받고 있다고 저는 생각을 하고 있습니다. 그래서 인젠트는 이런 기능은 물론이고요. 고가용성, 백업, 암호화, 모니터링 등등과 같은 모든 솔루션을 저희가 플랫폼으로서 저희가 제공하고 있기 때문에 많은 관심 부탁드리고요.
그걸 플랫폼을 제공한다는데 그 플랫폼의 인젠트만의 브랜드는 뭐예요?
엑스퍼DB입니다.
엑스퍼DB?
네, 엑스퍼DB입니다. 그래서 엑스퍼DB는 이제 포스트그레 SQL의 어떤 그 DBMS 기반으로
네.
암호화, 국정화 인증을 받은 이제 암호화라든지 백업 복구 뭐 이런 고가용성 모든 서비스들을 다 하나의 플랫폼으로서 DB와 결합해서 저희가 제공하고 있고요. 아까 오늘 세션에서 전달 드린 것처럼 저희가 이제 컨트리뷰터가 많아지고 있습니다. 현재 지금 3명 정도의 컨트리뷰터를 보유하고 있어서 실제로 정식 커뮤니티 버전에 저희 인젠트라는 이름이 이제 올라갈 예정이기도 해서 아까 말씀드린 것처럼 이런 안정성과 어떤 성능, 그 다음에 기술적 경쟁력을 많이 보유를 해 나가고 있기 때문에요. 앞으로도 더 좋은 생태계를 구축을 해서 더 좋은 모습으로 또다시 찾아뵐 수 있으면 좋을 것 같습니다.
네. 자, 그리고 여러분들 그 5월 달에 여기 보시면 죄송합니다. 5월 29일 날 금요일 날이죠. 5월 29일 금요일 날 오후 2시에 또 인젠트 2회차입니다. 엑스퍼디비 웨어하우스. 이거는 이제 DW 운영 관련돼가 최적화 방안에 대해서 또 인젠트의 또 전문가분들이 여기서 이제 우마르 팀장이 안 나오시고 여기 한국인 전문가분들이 나오시니까 편하게 더 편하게 보실 수 있고요. 5월 29일 날 금요일 날 오후 2시니까 이거 토크아이티 생방송 편성표에 여기 보면 있으니까 여기서 5월 달 해가지고 미리 사전 등록하시면 편하게 보실 수 있습니다. 네, 5월 29일 날은 엑스퍼디비 웨어하우스 쪽이고요. 네. 여기 보면 이렇게 보면 나오죠. 편성표에 보면. 네. 자, 지금 오늘 좀 길어졌는데요. 오늘 방송에서 마치겠고요. 여러분 적극적으로 오늘 이렇게 새로운 포맷에 오늘 방송했는데 적극적으로 참여해주셔서 고맙습니다. 오늘 방송에서 마치겠고요. 남은 하루 잘 보내시고 또 다음번에 다른 주제로 또 뵙겠습니다. 고맙습니다.
네.
수고하셨습니다.
테크 전문 채널 토크아이티에서는 데이터 저장, 분석, 보호 관련 다양한 전문가들과 언제든지 상담하고 소통할 수 있는 구해줘 데이터란 공간이 있습니다. 구글에서 한글로 토크아이티 치시거나 우측 상단에 링크를 클릭하시면 됩니다. 여러분의 좋아요와 구독은 컨텐츠 제작에 큰 힘이 됩니다. IT전문방송 토크아이티에서 테크 분야별 생동감 있는 생방송 토크 웨비나에 쉽게 참여하실 수 있습니다. 구글이나 네이버에서 한글로 토크아이티 치시거나 토크아이티.tv 사이트로 오시면 됩니다.